My name is Marianne Foster. I'm 28 years old, and I sell software for a living. Translation: I spend most of my days convincing huge companies that our platform will solve problems they don't fully understand yet. I'm good at it. I'm patient. I read people. I listen for the thing they're not saying out loud. I just didn't think I'd miss all the signs in my own relationship. If you'd asked anyone 2 years ago, they would have said my life looked like a rom-com. I was a bridesmaid at a friend's destination wedding in Cancun. My fiancé, well, at the time, he was just the charming guy with the too white smile and the chipped front tooth, was a groomsman. His name is Noah. He was 26 then, a little younger than me, but he carried himself like the world was already in love with him and he was just trying to keep up. We were paired to walk down the aisle together. He whispered a joke about nearly tripping over the flower girl during rehearsal. I snorted in a very unbridesmaid-like way, and the photographer caught us mid-laugh, my head thrown back, his eyes on me like I was the only person in the room. It was the kind of photo people frame. It became his profile picture for almost a year. After the wedding, we did the long-distance thing. I lived in Chicago. He lived in Atlanta. I dealt with enterprise clients. He bounced between freelance marketing gigs and building his personal brand, which is a polite way of saying my fiancé was an aspiring influencer. When we first met, his Instagram had maybe 2,000 followers, friends, family, some old classmates, a few randoms who liked his gym selfies. By the time we got engaged, he'd grown it to about 15,000. Not exactly celebrity level, but enough to get free clothes, skincare boxes, the occasional sponsored post. His content was a mix of fashion, lifestyle, gym updates, and relationship goals posts featuring us. Well, featuring me. I wasn't comfortable being online like that. I have a LinkedIn profile and a private Instagram with 200 people on it, half of whom I mute. I live very much in the real-world version of things. Contracts, quarterly targets, client calls, flights that are delayed for no good reason. Noah lived in the version with ring lights and carefully staged brunch photos. "Come on, Mare," he'd say, nudging his phone toward me, front camera on. "Just one story. People love when you're in it. Engagement goes crazy when you talk." I'd roll my eyes, then usually cave, because he was happy when the little heart icons lit up his screen, because it felt harmless. And because for all his obsession with aesthetics and angles, Noah had good qualities too. He was funny, in a goofy, self-aware way. He could talk to anyone, servers, security guards, executives, and they all walked away liking him. He remembered my mom's birthday without reminders. He'd show up to my office with coffee on days he knew I had hard calls. My mother adored him. "I like that boy," she'd say, watching a video he posted of us trying and failing to cook together. "He looks at you like you hung the moon." Mom's standards are brutal. She once called one of my exes politely stupid to his face. The fact that Noah had her approval felt like a stamp. Safe, solid, future material. So when I got the job offer that would move me from Chicago to Atlanta, better pay, bigger clients, serious runway for my career, it felt like fate. We got engaged 6 months after I moved. The ring wasn't the biggest. It wasn't from some designer. But Noah had picked it out with my mom, which mattered more to me than any diamond size. We took the engagement photos, wrote the gushy captions, fielded the congratulatory comments from his followers and my coworkers. Online, it looked perfect. Offline, it was good, mostly, with tiny hairline cracks I chose not to look at too closely. The first crack was privacy. I'd come home from a 10-hour day, kick off my heels, unbutton my blouse, and find a camera already rolling. "Babe, say hi to the people," Noah would grin, flipping his phone toward me. "Can I at least get out of my work bra before I'm live to your entire follower list?" I'd snap, half joking, half not. He'd laugh it off, but I'd see the brief flicker of annoyance when I didn't play along. The second crack, the way everything became content. Our fights turned into communication journey posts. Our date nights became relationship advice carousels. If we cooked together, the camera was propped up. If we traveled, the trip was mapped around photogenic locations and Wi-Fi speed. "I feel like my life is B-roll for your highlight reel," I told him once. He kissed my forehead. "You're not B-roll, you're the whole movie." It sounded sweet enough that I let the unease evaporate. Last July, my team landed a shot at a huge contract with a potential client in San Francisco. The kind that decides whether your year-end bonus is nice dinner out, money, or down payment on a house money. I was one of the lead presenters. No pressure. It's just 3 days, I told Noah while I packed, trying to keep my wardrobe somewhere between professional and I don't live out of a suitcase for a living. He sat on the edge of the bed, scrolling through TikTok audio options for his next reel. You're gonna crush it, he said, barely looking up. I'll hold down the fort here, maybe have a small hangout while you're gone. Guys' night or something. Guys' night, I repeated, teasing. Is that what we're calling 12 people and 3 ring lights now? He grinned. Relax, just a little get-together. I'll probably go live for a bit. People love when I host stuff. There it was again, that subtle tug-of-war between our lives. Mine punctuated by calendar entries and Zoom links, his by algorithms and audience retention rates. I zipped my suitcase. Just don't burn the apartment down. And remember to water the plant this time. The last one had died quietly in the corner while we were both too busy to notice. Convenient metaphor. He stood, wrapped his arms around my waist from behind, and rested his chin on my shoulder. I'm proud of you, you know, he murmured. Even if I joke about your spreadsheets. Go land your giant deal so we can finally start looking at houses. It sounded so normal, so much like a shared future. I kissed him, memorized the smell of his cologne, and walked out the door. The first days in San Francisco were a blur of conference rooms, catered lunches, and PowerPoint decks. The client liked us, then really liked us, then asked if we could stay 2 extra days to meet their executive team. My boss was practically vibrating with excitement. This is it, Marianne, he said, clapping me on the shoulder. We close this. You're not just getting a bonus. You're writing your own ticket here. I called Noah from the hotel hallway outside the conference room to tell him the trip was being extended. He answered on speaker, music faint in the background. That's great, babe, he said a little too quickly. Don't worry about rushing back. I've got plenty to keep me occupied. Something in his tone snagged on the edge of my attention. Relieved. Almost eager. Everything okay? I asked. Yeah, totally. Just editing some stuff, planning content. You just focus on your big account, Ms. Corporate Shark. He laughed. I forced myself to laugh too. Maybe I was tired. Maybe I was reading into things because I'd been living on hotel coffee and adrenaline. We hung up. I slid my phone back into my blazer pocket and walked into another meeting. I told myself I was imagining things. On what was supposed to be my last night in San Francisco, now turned into day 5 of my extended trip, I finally had an evening alone in my hotel room. No clients, no managers, just me, a takeout salad, and a laptop full of numbers. I was cross-checking some last-minute figures when my phone buzzed, then buzzed again, and again, and again. At first I thought it was work, a frantic email, a reschedule, a calendar change. Then I saw the names. My best friend from college. Mare, are you seeing this? Call me ASAP. My cousin Emily. Oh my God, check Noah's Instagram, right now. Even my mom. Honey, I'm so sorry. Call me when you can. My stomach dropped so fast I felt physically dizzy. My fingers suddenly felt clumsy, like I was wearing gloves. I unlocked my phone, my heart hammering in my ears. I opened Instagram. At the top of the screen, glowing bright and cheerful, was Noah's profile picture with a pulsing ring around it. Live. I tapped it. And as the stream loaded, I had no idea that my entire life was about to split into before this moment and after. The video loaded with a burst of noise, bass-heavy music, laughter, the clinking of bottles. For a split second, I prayed it was a glitch, a memory, an old clip he'd reposted. It wasn't. The camera jolted as someone bumped into Noah, but there he was, center frame, grinning ear to ear. Behind him, my apartment, our apartment, looked like a frat house had exploded inside it. People everywhere, drinks everywhere, red cups balanced on my work laptop, someone dancing on our coffee table. 30 people at least, maybe more. My breath hitched. Noah swept the camera across the room like he was cinematographer of chaos. This is what happens when Marianne leaves me unsupervised, he yelled over the music. ATL, let's go. The chat exploded with hearts and fire emojis. I stared at the screen, frozen. This wasn't a small get-together. This wasn't a guy's night. This wasn't harmless. This was a full-on apartment party with strangers in my home. A home I paid for, furnished, protected, loved. Noah swung his camera back to himself, a slight flush on his cheeks. He was definitely drinking. Probably more than drinking. His eyes were too bright, his voice too loose. And then came the first hit of betrayal. He leaned toward the camera, lowering his voice like he was sharing an inside joke with thousands. While my corporate queen is out there doing, spreadsheets, contracts, PowerPoints, I'm throwing an actual party. He said corporate queen, the way a kid says vegetables. The comment section loved it. OMG, he's unhinged tonight. Where's Marianne, though? He's so much more fun alone. Noah, out here living. I felt something cold coil in my chest. I told myself it was just immaturity, just Noah being Noah. But then he kept going. No more boring dinners. No more stop filming while I'm in pajamas. No more Noah, can you put the damn camera down? He mimicked in a whiny voice. Whiny. People laughed in the comments. He was mocking me, live, to thousands. And everything in me twisted. At first, only about 200 viewers were watching, normal for his weekday streams. But the chaos was magnetic. People started screen recording, sending the stream to group chats, DMing the link to friends. The viewer count shot up, 800, 200, 2700. I hadn't even processed my own rising panic when the camera turned again. And that was when I saw her. A girl, mid-20s, tight black dress, neon nails, leaned into frame and slung an arm around Noah's shoulders. Your girl isn't here? She asked into the mic, clearly knowing she was live. Nope. Noah grinned, letting her kiss his cheek. She's off being a boss babe or whatever. The girl giggled. Who is she that ain't Marianne? What is going on? OMG, chaos. Noah, behave. The cold in my stomach spread. I set my salad aside, my hands trembling around my phone. Noah, I whispered, as if he could hear me. What are you doing? Then someone shouted from behind the camera, Yo, Derek, show them the tattoo. The angle shifted as Noah turned. A tall guy with a man bun, Derek, apparently, lifted his shirt to show a phoenix tattoo that looked like it had been drawn during a power outage. The chat exploded with flame emojis. Noah, your followers want to know if Marianne knows, someone teased. And Noah, my fiancé, looked directly into the camera and said, She doesn't have to. She's too busy pretending to be perfect. Something in me cracked, a clean, sharp tear down the center of my chest. Then he said the sentence that shoved everything off the edge. Tonight's about finding people who know how to have fun. He dropped an arm around Monbun Derek's shoulders and added with a smirk, Unlike Miss PTO requests and password manager. The crowd cackled. I felt my heart hollow itself out. But then he crossed the line you don't come back from. The girl in the black dress tugged Noah's shirt and kissed him. Deep, messy, on camera. His hands went to her waist like it wasn't the first time. There wasn't a single friendly peck about it. It was intimate, purposeful, defiant. And nearly 5,000 people were watching. My vision blurred. I don't know if it was tears or shock, maybe both. But my hands moved without thinking. I typed one text. Just one. Looks fun. Check who's watching your live. And hit send. On screen, I saw the exact moment my message landed. Noah glanced at his phone, paused, frowned, looked again. And something in his expression changed. The music didn't seem so loud anymore. The room didn't look so fun anymore. The lights suddenly felt too bright. He tapped the screen to pull up the viewer list. Thousands of names scrolling nonstop. When he saw who was watching, his face drained of color. His lips parted, his eyes widened. His chest rose and fell too fast. Because in that list, mixed between usernames and random emojis, were my mom, his dad, my best friend, my cousin, his boss, his ex-girlfriend, and half of Atlanta. And then there was a knock at the door. He jumped, startled. People around him froze. The live stream kept rolling. The comments exploded. OMG, who is that Marianne? Open the door. I'm screaming. Noah wiped his mouth, straightened his shirt, tried to look sober. But nothing on earth could prepare him for who was standing on the other side of that door. I already knew who it was. I knew because the surprise engagement party was supposed to be tonight. The cake, the families, the celebration Noah's best friend had been planning with my mother for weeks. They were right outside that door, and Noah had no idea. The screen lit up, the door opened, and I watched, breathless, as the world caved in on him. When the door swung open, the music didn't stop, but the room did. Everything froze in that eerie, suspended way disasters often begin. Sound dulled, bodies stilled, every sense sharpened to painful clarity. Standing in the doorway, caught on Noah's still-running live stream, was a cluster of people holding a 3-tiered cake frosted in white and gold. At the front was my mother. Her smile was tense, polite, brittle. A smile that said, I will not scream in public, but believe me, I could. Beside her, Noah's father, my aunt, my cousin Emily, and at the very back, holding the box of plastic utensils like it was a bomb, was Noah's best friend, Ryan. The comments on the live stream detonated instantly. What is happening? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, is that her mom? This is a horror movie. Turn it off, turn it off. The girl who just kissed Noah dropped her drink so fast it splashed across my rug. Ryan was the first to speak. Well, he said flatly. Surprise. He held up his phone, the audio echoing faintly, because he had me on speaker, listening through the entire catastrophe. Noah staggered backward like someone had shoved him. Mrs. Foster, this isn't, let me just... His words tangled, tripping over each other. He looked from the cake to the crowd to the girl still wiping lip gloss off her mouth. My mother stepped inside without waiting for permission. She scanned the apartment, my restored coffee table covered in beer cans, strangers leaning against my counters, my favorite lamp knocked sideways. Her expression iced over. Noah, she said, her voice calm in the way hurricanes are calm in their center, would you kindly end the video? Noah fumbled with his phone like it was slipping through his fingers. He slapped random buttons, missed twice, then finally ended the live stream. But it was far too late. 10,000 people had watched it. Hundreds had screen recorded it. Half the city had already texted their cousins about it. My mother turned to him again. We were here to celebrate your engagement, she said. But clearly, celebration is not what's happening here tonight. Her disappointment hit harder than any yelling could have. The girl with the neon nails whispered, "Oh my God," grabbed her purse and bolted past everyone. Derek with the phoenix tattoo tried to pretend he was a floor lamp. Someone in the back muttered, "Bro, end the night, end the night." Noah swallowed hard, opening and closing his mouth like a stranded fish. It just got out of hand. Out of hand? My mother repeated, eyebrows arching. Is that what you call cheating on your fiancée, live in her home? The room collectively winced. Ryan pinched the bridge of his nose. Man, I told you not to do the live. I told you. Noah's dad finally stepped forward. Noah, son, he said, voice low, we need to talk. Now. You could feel the humiliation suffocating him. You could see his eyes darting, looking for someone, anyone, who would save him. But no one did. At this point, I was still on the phone, still listening from my hotel room in San Francisco, 2,300 miles away, stuck between heartbreak and morbid disbelief. I heard everything. Every sharp inhale, every embarrassed shuffle, every whispered, "What the hell, man?" Noah stammered towards my mother. I swear, nothing happened until the kiss. It didn't mean... Don't say it didn't mean anything, she cut in softly. That doesn't help. It just makes you sound foolish. Noah's father added, harsher, and doing this while you're supposed to be planning a future in front of her family? His voice cracked on family. Even he was disappointed. Then came the moment that will replay in my head forever. Ryan, still clutching a paper plate, held up the cake box. The cake custom ordered for tonight. The cake my mom had helped design. The cake that read in perfect gold script, "Congratulations, Marianne and Noah. Forever starts now." Someone gasped. Someone else whispered, "Jesus Christ." Noah looked at the cake like it was radioactive. I didn't know you were doing this," he said, voice tiny. Exactly, my mother replied. That was the point of a surprise party. You could hear the betrayal in her voice, not just for me, but for the version of Noah she believed he was, the version he used to be, the version he wasn't anymore. Finally, Noah's dad turned to the room. "Party's over," he said. "Everyone out." People scrambled like the lights had just come on in a nightclub. Cups hit the floor. Someone knocked over a lamp. The girl in the sequined skirt apologized 3 times before sprinting out. And through my phone speaker, tinny, distant, I heard Noah whisper, "Mare, please call me. Please, I can explain." But I was already sobbing silently in the dark hotel room, one hand pressed to my mouth, the other gripping the phone like it was the only thing keeping me upright. Ryan didn't hang up. He didn't say anything. He just stayed on the line with me for the next 45 minutes while the apartment emptied and the last of the chaos died. Finally, after the door clicked shut behind Noah's family, Ryan sighed. "I'm sorry, Marianne," he said quietly. "He really screwed up." I didn't have words, just silence, just pain. The call dropped when his battery finally died. And for the first time since I met Noah, since Cancun, since the Isle, since the ring, I allowed myself to think the unthinkable. This might be the end. By the next morning, everything had changed. I woke up after maybe an hour of sleep, still in my work blouse, still on top of the hotel comforter, still holding my phone like it was a lifeline that had betrayed me. When I unlocked it, the notifications were endless. Missed calls, texts, voicemails, DMs from friends, coworkers, strangers. Group chats that hadn't been active since college suddenly blinking awake. The first text I opened was from Emily. Mare, I'm so sorry. The video is everywhere. That word, everywhere, landed in my stomach like a stone. I opened Instagram and my heart nearly stopped. Noah's live stream, the one he ended in panic, was gone, of course. Lives auto-delete after 24 hours. But dozens of accounts had reposted screen recordings. Clips, stitched reactions, memes, commentaries, people taking sides in a story they weren't even part of. Noah Cheats was trending locally. Someone had uploaded a compilation. Noah mocking me, Noah drinking, Noah dancing, Noah kissing the girl, Noah panicking when he saw my text, Noah opening the door to our parents. Set to dramatic music. It already had 300,000 views. I sat there in bed, staring at a highlight reel of my worst moment being turned into entertainment for strangers with usernames like @TSpillDaily and @DramaDigest. Then came the Reddit threads. Screenshots of his kiss went to Irish relationships, then our public freakout, then our Atlanta, then our all. The top comment, 15,000 upvotes, said, "Bro cheated on a software saleswoman on live?" He didn't fumble the bag. He threw it at the wall. Some replies were cruel. Some were supportive. Most were just spectators at a train wreck. "This isn't real," I whispered. "This can't be real." But it was. It was already too real. Still, despite the emotional devastation, I had a job to do. A deal that could change my entire career was on the line. A deal I had worked on for months. A deal that, if it closed, would set my trajectory for years. So I did what I always do when life collapses. I compartmentalized. I showered. I put on my blazer. I fixed my mascara. I walked into that boardroom like my heart wasn't in pieces. My boss greeted me with, "Ready to close this out?" I nodded, even though inside I felt like I was drifting through water. The meeting lasted 3 hours. I smiled. I answered questions. I presented numbers. I made jokes. I sold the deal. We closed the contract. People clapped. My boss squeezed my shoulder and said, "You just secured your future, Marianne." And the whole time, all I could think was, my future just blew up less than 12 hours ago. When I landed in Atlanta the next evening, I expected to walk into a wreck. Maybe Noah waiting for me, maybe chaos, maybe more cameras. Instead, Ryan was at my building entrance holding a paper bag. "Pixel wanted to meet you at the gate," he deadpanned. I blinked. "Who's Pixel?" He lifted the bag. Inside was a tiny stuffed toy dog. "It's a placeholder until you adopt a real one. Thought you could use it." I almost cried right there on the sidewalk. He led me upstairs. My apartment, our apartment, looked spotless. Too spotless. Someone had cleaned everything, scrubbed the floors, thrown out the cups, bottles, trash, fixed the lamp, even folded the blankets. I swallowed hard. "Who did all this?" "Your mom and Noah's parents," Ryan said quietly. "They didn't want you to walk into the aftermath." He hesitated before unlocking my door. "And Noah's not here," he added. "He left after grabbing some essentials. With his brothers." A relief I didn't expect washed over me. He wasn't inside. We wouldn't have to talk yet. I didn't have to see his face. "Not tonight." Ryan handed me my key. "If you need anything, literally anything, text me." I nodded. My throat felt glued shut. He walked away, leaving me in silence. I stepped into the apartment alone for the first time since everything. The air felt different. Still, unfamiliar. Then I saw it. On the counter, next to the folded dish towels, was Noah's phone. Unlocked. Screen bright. Open to Instagram. His latest post was a tearful apology video captioned, "Please let me explain. I still love her." The comments were brutal. "Explain what? Babe, you literally cheated." On live. "No, we saw the whole thing. Marianne deserves better. Take accountability." It was surreal, my pain being judged by strangers. I placed his phone face down on the counter. Then I walked into my bedroom. There, on the nightstand, sat the engagement ring in its velvet box. The lid was open, and the ring was gone. For a split second, I panicked. Then I saw it, placed neatly in the middle of the bedspread. A perfect little circle of diamonds staring up at me like an accusation. Or a goodbye. My phone buzzed. A text. From Noah. "Please come meet me. Just to talk, please." Another. "Mare, I'm begging you." Then, I didn't mean it. Any of it. I was drunk and stupid and trying to impress people who don't matter. I stared at the messages until the words blurred. Then I typed one sentence. "We will talk tomorrow, after I sleep." I didn't know if it was forgiveness, or the beginning of the end, or just exhaustion. All I knew was that if I spoke to him now, I'd say something I couldn't undo. I placed my phone on the dresser, turned off the light, and crawled into bed alone. Even without him there, the bed felt too big, too cold, too unfamiliar. I stared at the ceiling, the empty ring box still glowing faintly in the dark. And for the first time since I met Noah, the love of my life felt like a stranger. I didn't sleep. Not really. I drifted. I stared. I blinked at the ceiling while replaying every moment of the last 3 years. His laugh at the wedding, his hand squeezing mine during turbulence, his whispered "I love you" when he thought I was asleep. Every flattering camera angle he'd ever convinced me into. Every time I told myself his obsession with online validation was just a phase. It all felt like a life I had borrowed, not one I had actually lived. When dawn finally came, it felt like stepping out of someone else's dream and into a reality I didn't recognize. I showered, put my hair in a low bun, skipped makeup, made a coffee I didn't drink. At 9:02 a.m., Noah texted again. "I'm downstairs." 3 words, heavy enough to knock the breath out of me. I stared at the elevator button for nearly a full minute before pressing it. When I stepped outside, he was pacing beside his car, wearing the same hoodie from the live stream. He looked exhausted, eyes red, hair messy, face puffy from crying. If he hadn't destroyed my world less than 48 hours ago, I would have hugged him. But now he felt like a person I used to love. "Marianne," his voice broke, please just let me explain." He reached for my arm. I took a step back. He froze like I'd slapped him. "Noah," I said quietly, steadying my breath, "you kissed someone else, in my home, on a live stream, while mocking our entire relationship." He flinched hard. I know, he said, wiping his face. "I don't even know why I did any of it. I was drunk. I was stupid. I wanted to look fun for the camera." "Fun," I echoed. "Fun is eating bad sushi at midnight. Fun is movie marathons. Fun is getting lost on road trips." I swallowed. Fun is not public humiliation. Silence stretched between us, thick and choking. "I hate myself for what I did," he whispered. "You have to know that." "No," I said. "You hate the consequences, not the actions." His face went dull with pain. "You think I don't love you?" he whispered. I didn't answer. Because yes, once he loved me deeply. But now? Now love felt like a word he'd used for engagement photos and sponsorship captions. Authentic where it counted? No, not anymore. He tried again. "We can fix this. Please, talk to me. Look at me. I'm still me." I shook my head slowly. "And that's the problem, Noah. The person I watched on that live stream was you." He covered his face with both hands. "I made one mistake." "One?" My voice cracked. "Noah, you didn't accidentally bump into someone at a bar. You planned a party. You filmed it. You mocked me. You flirted. You kissed another woman. You laughed when people cheered you for belittling me." His breath faltered. "And worst," I forced out, "you did all of it because strangers were watching." He sank down onto the curb. "I ruined the best thing in my life," he whispered. "I ruined you." "You didn't ruin me," I said softly. "You just showed me who you've become." He looked up, tears pooling in his eyes. "What can I do to make you stay?" My throat tightened. "You can't." The words broke him. He put his head in his hands and sobbed like a child, shoulders shaking, breath coming in choking sounds. And I felt nothing. No anger, no vengeance, no satisfaction. Just a quiet, heavy ache. I stood there until he had no tears left. When he finally looked up again, his voice was barely audible. "So, this is it?" I forced myself to nod. "Noah," I said gently, "I loved you, truly, but this?" I gestured vaguely, helplessly. "This can't be fixed with apologies." He swallowed hard. "Will you at least tell people the truth?" he whispered. "That I'm not a monster?" I looked at him for a long moment. "You aren't a monster," I said. "You're just someone who loved attention more than he loved me." He winced. I reached into my pocket and placed the engagement ring in his palm. His fingers curled around it instinctively. He looked at his closed fist like it was a wound. Then I turned and walked back inside. He didn't follow. He didn't call out. He didn't run after me. He didn't grab my arm, like in the dramatic movies. He just let me go. And that was the moment I knew it truly, irrevocably ended. Because if he had been the man I thought he was, Noah would have fought, begged, pleaded for us. But the man on that sidewalk? He was tired, defeated. And deep down, he knew he had lost something he'd never get back. Inside, I collapsed onto the floor and let the tears finally come. They didn't feel like heartbreak anymore. They felt like relief. Like stepping out of quicksand. The following days blurred together. I blocked Noah. His family reached out. Some supportive, some apologetic. My coworkers pretended not to know what happened, though I saw the sympathy in their eyes. The video spread further, then died down. Drama always does. I went to therapy, started journaling, bought Pixel, the real dog this time, a three-legged rescue who loved me instantly. I cleaned the apartment, removed every trace of Noah, kept the vintage coffee table because I'd restored it myself. Life slowly, painfully steadied. And 7 months later, I posted one Instagram photo. Not of my face, not of my relationship status, not of an aesthetic brunch. Just Pixel asleep on my chest with a caption. Healing isn't linear, but it's worth it. It got maybe 60 likes. Perfect. 2 years passed, quietly, tenderly, without spectacle, without live streams, without an audience grading my every emotion. Life rebuilt itself in soft, steady layers. My job promoted me after the San Francisco deal. I bought a condo with a little balcony that gets golden light at 4 p.m. Pixel became my loyal shadow, snoring through half my meetings and chasing squirrels like he was auditioning for a nature documentary. And yes, I fell in love again. Not with another influencer, not with someone who needed the world to validate him, but with a book illustrator named Benjamin who used social media only to post sketches of animals and the occasional birthday post for his elderly cat. He never asked me to pose for content, or rehearse a story, or smile for strangers. When I told him about Noah, about everything, he simply said, I don't need to see the video to understand you were hurt, but I'd never want to know you through something painful. And that was when I knew I had chosen peace this time. For the most part, Noah became a ghost. Not haunting, just absent. A chapter I closed without burning the book. Mutual friends occasionally mentioned him in passing. He quit the influencer scene, deleted nearly everything, took up yoga of all things, worked low-key marketing jobs, started therapy, dated someone new. I was glad for him. I wanted him to heal in whatever way he could. Then, one random Tuesday afternoon, I saw his name in my inbox. Not Noah's, but his older sister's. Subject, for what it's worth. I stared at it for a long moment before opening it. Marianne, I know you may not want to hear from me, but I wanted you to know that Noah has been working on himself. Therapy, accountability, actually confronting his behavior. He will never reach out. You asked him not to, and he respects that now. But I thought you deserved to know that the person he is becoming is someone who would have treated you better. Take care of yourself, Rachel. I sat with that email for a long time. It didn't hurt. It didn't reopen anything. It just settled, like dust disturbed by a long closed door finally drifting back to the ground. I replied simply, I'm glad he's doing well. Wishing you all the best. Then I hit send, and that was that. The last time I saw Noah was 6 months later, in a grocery store aisle of all places. I was comparing tomato sauces. Pixel was at home chewing through yet another toy. Ben was at an illustrator meetup. I reached for a jar, and someone else did at the same time. Our hands brushed. I looked up. It was him, Noah. He looked older, calmer, like someone who had finally stepped out of the shadow of his own ego. His eyes softened. Marianne. I nodded. Hey. Silence hovered between us. Not awkward, not bitter. Just human. I'm really glad to see you, he said quietly. You look good. So do you. He shifted, clearing his throat. I just wanted to say this in person, since I never got to. Thank you. For leaving. For letting things fall apart. It made me fix myself. There was no tremor in his voice, no desperation, just truth. I smiled, a small, warm, real smile. I hope you're happy, Noah. Truly. I am, he said. And you? I felt my heart swell when I thought of Ben, of curly hair, warm smiles, quiet mornings, shared blankets, and a kind of love that never needed an audience. Yes, I said, I am. We stood there for one last moment, two people who had loved each other once, hurt each other once, learned from each other immensely. Then he gave me a small nod, a goodbye, a thank you, a closing. You take care, Marianne. You too. He walked away, pushing his cart down the aisle. I didn't look back. Some stories don't need sequels, just endings that teach us who we're supposed to become. And mine finally had one.